Hello, I'm Dane Scott, and this is Audio Buzz, the BeOS Media Magazine. Unleashing the creativity of buzzers this week. And in our featured music spotlight, the unleashed creativity of one of them, David Cournoyer, who plays a mean jazz guitar. All that and more coming up. But first, our news of the week. Echo's popular Layla, Darla, and Gina digital audio hardware systems are all just one major BeOS release away. According to Echo programmer Matt Gonzalez, the drivers are essentially finished, but await some needed support from Be Incorporated. He told us Echo plans to release all three of their ladies in conjunction with Be's next major release. eMagic's Logic Audio is definitely delayed in coming to the BeOS. We've received yet another email from a buzzer who quotes eMagic sources directly as saying it's not going to happen this year. It could be the middle of next year. T-Rack S, which was originally expected in late August, now is destined to be released sometime this month. The demo of the software-based rack processing emulator is a popular and well-rated download at BBits. MediaPede has just released an updated beta version of their Ultra Encode MP3 encoder program. You can download that off their website and maybe help them find a few bugs. Buzzer Ian Stewart Cairns reports that Nemesis is seriously considering doing a BeOS port of their kick-and sampler GigaSampler. Over at the GigaSampler forum at northernsounds.com, Joe of Nemesis says BeOS is great, technically superior to Windows and Mac OS when it comes to audio, and yes, Nemesis is looking seriously into supporting this OS. Marco Nellison has upped the ante again. SoundPlay 3.2, now available from BBits, has 3 fun new plugins which make playing your favorite audio files a more visual experience. The program's plugin SDK has been updated to include an example visual plugin, so other developers can create their own clever displays that will work with SoundPlay 3.2. And we're seeing good reports on CD Manager, the CD burner manager, including in the audio arena. Writing in Be User Talk, Matthew Adams of Codex Research gives an encouraging account from the weekend, saying it happily produced me 17 CDs without a single coaster, table mat, or frisbee. On the way next, an army of buzzers and future buzzers is preparing to take the world by storm. A perspective on the coming invasion when Audio Buzz continues. You know, one of the things I look for in software is a program that can kind of read my mind and know how I work in a way that's intuitive and natural and sort of draws me into the process. That's the way it is with Go Be Productive. With Go Be Productive, you can do everything all in one program without having to jump through a whole bunch of hoops and modules and things. Text, graphic, charts, layouts, all in frames right on the same screen together. Just a natural feel that'll make you feel comfortable right away. You're going to love it. www.bdepot.com to pick up your copy of Go Be Productive.
This is Chris Herworth of Next Generation Entertainment, and you're listening to Audio Buzz with Dane Scott.
I've got an audio perspective for you this week, and it's all about creativity. It's bad when any group gets stereotyped, so I'll tread lightly here, but it's probably safe to say that if you're listening to this program, there's a good chance that some, if not all, of the following things are true about you. Number 1, you are above average in your knowledge of computers. Number 2, you are convinced there's a better way to do things than the way that they're done in the mainstream. Number 3, you hold out high hopes for the BeOS, or at the very least, you are particularly interested in the potential of the operating system. Number 4, you are innovative and a creative thinker. And possibly, number 5, you are involved in or would like to work with high bandwidth media like audio, video, or 3D using the BeOS. How am I doing so far? Well, good. Now ask yourself this question. Is the Be operating system worth risking your mind to? Seriously. What I mean is the Be operating system a safe enough bet that you would be willing to devote your time and energy and creativity to it, to really learn it, to work with the tools it provides, to program for it, to create things with it, to promote it? Some of you already are. Others of you are still testing the waters, or you just haven't gotten that far into the BeOS yet. The point of all this is to suggest, especially to newer BeOS users, that what you've stumbled on is really something special, something worthy of your time and your effort. And I'd like to encourage many of you who have such great creativity and knowledge and skill to jump in with both feet and get involved in the BeOS community. That involvement doesn't necessarily have to take the form of something overt, like a huge advocacy effort, at least at first. It can take subtler forms. One thing you can do is to track down and purchase the commercial and shareware programs developers are coming out with. That gives you the tools to develop on this platform while simultaneously helping to make it grow and develop. Even just using the BeOS consistently and working to move your activities to this operating system helps for a number of reasons. For one, it advances your skills in using it, making you more useful to others. For another, as your enthusiasm for it grows, so too will your advocacy efforts, your programming efforts, and your participation as an active part of the BeOS community. Actually, the theory that BeOS use leads to BeOS involvement is what drives our current contest promotion, the 3D Sound Contest. And it's the reason Be Incorporated is helping us co-sponsor it. You see, by digging in and really experiencing the operating system at work, by finding ways to let the BeOS tap your creativity, you're taking the first big step toward making the BeOS an important part of your computing experience. And the more people do that, the better the chances are that this remarkable operating system will gain the foothold it needs to succeed as the ultimate tool of creative people like you. Well, I'd like to encourage you to visit LeBuzz.com and find out about the 3D Sound Contest, to fire up that free 3D Sound program on your BeOS 4.5 CD, and come up with your own fun, imaginative creation. We're giving away a whole stack of prizes, so it'll be well worth your while. Come to think of it, considering the side benefits of rolling up your sleeves and really starting to use the BeOS, it may be worth your while even if you don't win a prize. You can get to the contest details from our load page. I hope you'll check it out. Well, up next, David Cournoyer, or Cornwye as they say in Canada, is a buzzer with a real talent for musical composition. And as we're about to see, he's also pretty handy with a jazz guitar when Audio Buzz continues. So, you're a webmaster. You make websites for clients, or maybe you're working on a killer site of your very own. The question is, what can you do to make your site or your client's site stand out from the competition? The answer is Talking Web Pages from TalkingSites.com. For way less than you might think, you can have clickable audio clips that actually provide listeners with a more appealing reason to stay longer and explore your site or your client's site. Use Talking Web Pages to point out the attributes of products or services, to train employees over the web, to salute the Employee of the Month. Or here's an idea. Record testimonials from satisfied customers, put their faces on the website, and when they click on the faces of the customers will tell their own story about why they're happy with the product or service. Hey, why just have web pages when you can have talking web pages? www.talkingsites.com.
Hi, this is Benoit Schillings at Be Incorporated, creator of 3D Sound, and now more of Audio Buzz with Dane Scott.
I was more than thrilled to receive a whole CD full of compositions by a very creative musician who just happens to also be a buzzer. David Cournoyer has a big variety of nice music on the homebrew CD he sent me, all different kinds, and it's my pleasure to feature a snippet of it right now. I hope you'll enjoy a few moments of sweet jazz from David Cournoyer. Audio Buzz is a weekly service of LeBuzz.com, the site with the latest buzz on BeOS media, and BNews.com, the site with more BNews. It's brought to you this week by Gobi Productive. Visit them at www.gobi.com and TalkingSites.com. Be sure to get your entry into us in the 3D Sound Contest. And until next week, I'll see you on the web. I'm Dane Scott, and this is Audio Buzz, the weekly BeOS media magazine. Our show is brought to you by Gobi Productive and TalkingSites.com. This week, some musings about the BeOS potential role in radio, plus some featured music once again this week from David Cournoyer. First, our news of the week. Marcus Overhagen of Germany, designer of CD Manager, is hard at work adding support for Philips, TIAC, and HP CD recorders. Expected to be still a month or so before it's released. Brendan Allen is nearing the end of the trail in developing his MIDI player MIDI World. He's released the source code for everyone to use, develop, and enjoy. Version 1.5, which Brendan says contains most of the features he ever intended for the program, is now out and available for download. A new and considerably improved version of Kazuno MP, the MPEG recorder, has hit the free store shelves, offering, among other things, direct CD recording. The new release has many new features. Visit Kazuno MP's website, try out the latest version, and give us your reactions to it. Whistle is a fun program just released on an unsuspecting public by Doug Fulton of B. Doug's amazing little 26K zip download turns your BeOS computer into a madhouse of cartoonish sound effects every time you move the mouse, click, or type. IK Multimedia, which is days away from the release of T-Rack S, is also hard at work on a BeOS version of Groovemaker, an acid-like program that promises endless mix capabilities. You can see a screenshot of it on LeBuzz. Scott Hacker has created a mailing list for the discussion of using BeOS in dedicated home car stereo MP3 devices. See the link information on the Audio Buzz load page for more details. And that's our news. Up next, what about the possibility of using the BeOS at radio stations? There are lots of possibilities when Audio Buzz continues. You know, one of the things I look for in software is a program that can kind of read my mind and know how I work in a way that's intuitive and natural and sort of draws me into the process. That's the way it is with Go Be Productive. With Go Be Productive, you can do everything all in one program without having to jump through a whole bunch of hoops and modules and things. Text, graphic, charts, layouts, all in frames right on the same screen together. Just a natural feel that'll make you feel comfortable right away. You're going to love it. www.bdepot.com to pick up your copy of Go Be Productive.
Hi, this is Todd Motive, BeOS audio lover and host of Rock Surf on 97.7 Hits FM Toronto Buffalo. And you're tuned into Audio Buzz with Dane Scott.
This week I was contacted by Radio World, a prestigious radio magazine, who was interested in doing a story about how the BeOS is being used at radio stations. Unfortunately, I had to report to him that so far, not a lot is being done with the BeOS at radio stations, at least not by anybody we've heard from. Well, there are a few rare exceptions, but generally speaking, it just hasn't happened yet. Nor can it until the applications arrive. But what applications are they, and what are the prospects they might be forthcoming? First, let's establish that the most likely place for the Bee is in the studio, not the front office. John the bookkeeper, Martha the copywriter, and Bill the traffic manager already use what they like, and they're not likely to change. So what does that leave? All the fun stuff. Let's take it department by department. We'll start with commercial production. Bee is an absolute natural here. With its smooth handling of audio, it's a producer's dream. There are terrific multi-track recording systems on the way, complete with wonderful real-time effects that should save stations money over buying a lot of expensive effects boxes and proprietary production hardware. With Bee, it'll just take a computer and whatever interface they choose. The production room is the first beachhead that will really make it into radio stations. Well, or is it? We've already heard about somebody who's designing a radio automation system. Radio stations today are heavily automated, with most programming either pre-recorded or running off satellite. That requires a computer which can take a daily programming log and translate it into a series of events which control all the necessary programming sources, like, satellite, digital audio, tape machines. Bee's stability as a platform is perfect for this kind of work. As anybody who's worked with radio automation knows, DOS and Windows can be nightmares of inefficiency and unreliability. Bee just runs and runs and runs, which means the manager can go home at the end of the day and not twitch every time the phone rings. Hey, how about engineering? The engineer at a radio station has to deal with a lot of high-tech gear these days. A Bee computer on his workbench, complete with oscilloscope readings and diagnostic programming, would be terrific, and Bee's smooth graphics handling would make a very accurate, time-sensitive visual feedback. Nothing in the works along those lines that I know of, but the potential is great there. Bee is still young on the PC platform, but as it matures and takes off, I really hope one of the areas it takes off into is radio. Radio people need to read about the BeOS in their favorite publications, so I'm grateful Radio World is taking an interest. Hopefully other radio stations will follow suit. And if you're in radio, contact me. The email address is on the Audio Buzz load page. And be sure to sign up for the Pro Audio and Broadcast Buzz list on LeBuzz so we can all be in contact with one another. Still ahead, our featured artist of the week, a familiar name, next. So, you're a webmaster. You make websites for clients, or maybe you're working on a killer site of your very own. The question is, what can you do to make your site or your client's site stand out from the competition? The answer is Talking Web Pages from TalkingSites.com. For way less than you might think, you can have clickable audio clips that actually provide listeners with a more appealing reason to stay longer and explore your site or your client's site. Use Talking Web Pages to point out the attributes of products or services, to train employees over the web, to salute the employee of the month. Or here's an idea. Record testimonials from satisfied customers, put their faces on the website, and when they click on the faces of the customers will tell their own story about why they're happy with the product or service. Hey, why just have web pages when you can have talking web pages? www.talkingsites.com.
Hi, this is Shane White of CBAS, the BeOS Musicians website, and you're listening to Audio Buzz with Dane Scott.
If the name David Cornoyer sounds familiar, it's because he was also our featured artist last week. There haven't been any new submissions of music from you buzzers out there lately, so it's fortunate for me. David sent me a whole CD with great stuff on it. And this is one of the songs I particularly like. Very creative, kind of makes the mind work. Let's listen in. Now let's hear from you. If you have a musical creation, regardless of which platform you created it on, send it in. Just drop me an email and I'll give you details on how to submit it. It's easy. And be sure to get your entries in soon for the 3D Sound Contest, which ends at the end of this month. Get details on LeBuzz.com. Audio Buzz is a service of LeBuzz.com and BNews.com, the site with more B-News. Our show has been brought to you this week by Go Be Productive and TalkingSites.com. I'm Dane Scott. Keep buzzing, and I'll see you on the web. Welcome to Audio Buzz, the weekly BeOS media magazine. I'm Dane Scott. This week, the amazing comeback of a tiny band of software superstars. Plus, more music from our 3D Sound Contest, and more all on the way. Our show is brought to you this week by Go Be Productive and AllAdvantage.com. First, the news of the week. Supreme GS, a computer company specializing in Linux and BeOS machines, has just announced a whole new lineup of products, including beefed-up BeOS machines targeted right at media professionals. Each of the three MediaStorm systems features an ATA66 disk controller, 40x CD-ROM, SVHS and RCA video in, TV-FM tuner, 120 megabyte SuperDisk, built-in 10100 base TX Ethernet, PC98 keyboard and 3-button mouse, plus 16-bit 48 kHz 3D audio with hardware wavetable. The configurations start at Light and go to Pro with prices to match. A music undergrad at the University of Waterloo, Ontario, Canada, is compiling a new sound card hardware compatibility list. One of the nice things about Simon South's list is that he's actively tracking MIDI capabilities. So, as we move toward greater MIDI support, we'll be able to track its impact on Simon's list. One of the sound cards that already does support MIDI externally is Carlos Hassan's extremely popular Sound Blaster 16 driver, which has just been updated to 1.1. Carlos' code is a Sound Blaster 1632, AW32, and AW64 and compatibles audio driver for BeOS Intel Release 4.5, supporting full duplex digital audio and the MIDI MPU 401 interface. This release has actually been optimized to perform audio operations as fast and smoothly as possible and to reduce the usage of system resources. Also over at BBits right now, Sebastian Boucher has published a BeOS driver that will be of interest to owners of AimLab's RadioTrack radio card. Once again, you can tune that in over at BBits. In a fascinating turn of events, Software Superstars has decided to persevere in their efforts to bring a Roland baseline clone to the BeOS despite threatened legal action. That's our featured story next on Audio Buzz. You know, one of the things I look for in software is a program that can kind of read my mind and know how I work in a way that's intuitive and natural and sort of draws me into the process. That's the way it is with Go Be Productive. With Go Be Productive, you can do everything all in one program without having to jump through a whole bunch of hoops and modules and things. Text, graphic, charts, layouts, all in frames right on the same screen together. Just a natural feel that'll make you feel comfortable right away. You're going to love it. www.bdepot.com to pick up your copy of Go Be Productive.
Hi, this is Oliver Tillman from B News, and you're listening to Audio Buzz with Dane Scott.
Back with the story of the little software company that could, Software Superstars. They've decided to go ahead with their Roland baseline clone for the BeOS. White, a programmer on the Bamboo project, says that too much blood, sweat, and tears has gone into the project to abandon it now as the result of threatened legal action by Propellerheads, makers of Rebirth, the leading clone on the other platform. Rather than incur any further wrath from Propellerheads, Software Superstars has opted to abandon certain elements of the program. Ultimately, says White, it turned out to be a positive thing. And quoting him, he says, "This means removing any compatibility with Rebirth, in other words, the RBM mod format, and for safety's sake, no support for Rebirth songs. Secondly, to avoid any further complications, we are redesigning the user interface, since there seems to be a distinct look and feel issue there as well. This," he says, "is way cool. Since we are no longer supporting RBMs, we no longer have to be limited by the original graphical constraints of the user interface, which in turn allows us, at long last, to be able to add a few more much-needed features. And you can get your first glimpse of it on LeBuzz, or take a look at it on our load page where we have the URL that leads to the Bamboo control panel graphic. It's about 175K, but well worth the time to take a look. Looks to me like the changes they've been able to make because they freed themselves from the constraints of the other design means that they're actually going to end up with a nicer program than they otherwise would have. So congratulations to the people at Software Superstars for persevering and coming out with what will probably end up being a better product after all. Up next, another featured song from our 3D sound contest, when Audio Buzz continues. I had been hearing a lot just lately about getting paid to surf the web, and like many of you, I'd just been blowing it off as so much hype. But then I got curious and I started doing a little investigating, and guess what I found out? In a lot of cases, my first assumption was right, it is hype. But there is one notable exception, alladvantage.com. At alladvantage.com, they do exactly what they say they'll do. They provide you with an ad bar that displays little ads at the top or bottom of your screen. You can pick where you want it while you're browsing the internet. And then they pay you for it, 50 cents an hour. If you refer some friends who sign up, you also get paid for every hour they browse the net. And if they sign friends up, yep, you get a bump for each hour they browse the web as well. Now, are you going to get rich using AllAdvantage? No. But without too much effort, you can make the time you spend browsing pay your monthly internet bill. That's what I'm doing. And then some. So is it worth it? I think so. After you try it out, I think you'll think so too. Everything about it's free. The URL for it's right on the Audio Buzz load page. So while you listen to this week's show, click on it, find out more. Maybe even sign up and give it a try for a while. There are times when most of us still have to use Windows. Given my choice, I'd rather get paid too.
Hi, this is Peter Schultz with BeForever.com, and you're listening to Audio Buzz with Dane Scott. The revolution will not be televised.
This week's featured music is another entry in the LeBuzz 3D Sound Contest, which wraps up on the 15th of this month. Avner Kenner of Israel gathered his family around the microphone for this clever piece called The BeOS Family. Let's listen in. Audio Buzz is a weekly service of LeBuzz.com, your daily BeOS media news report, and B News, the site with more B News. It's brought to you this week by Go Be Productive and AllAdvantage.com. I'm Dane Scott. Remember to get your 3D sound entries postmarked no later than October 15th. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you on the web. Time for another edition of Audio Buzz, the weekly BeOS media magazine, brought to you by Gobi Productive and AllAdvantage.com. I'm Dane Scott, and this week, the first of a two-parter with Steve Dame of Virtual DSP Corporation, makers of MIDI Oxygen 44, plus the featured music of BeOS Buzzer and Amiga throwback Scott Watson, and more, all on the way. First, our news of the week. And BeOS Audio has made the cover of the prestigious Radio World magazine. The article, BeOS Appeals to Audio Users by Tom Vernon, the first of a two-part series, is an absolutely electrifying description of the operating system and its potential, and it's very favorable in its content as it talks about B. Take the 8 audio ins and outs plus the SPDIF of the ARC 2020 Plus, the back-mounted jacks of the Echo Layla, and throw in 24-bit 96 kHz bandwidth, and you've got the MIDIMan Delta 1010, a promising-sounding new I.O. box that appears to be BeOS bound. Writing to their techies, buzzer George Putnam got this response: "We're discussing the BeOS thing, and we will most likely do it. It looks like they're shooting for Winter NAMM, which happens in late January of next year." B programmers are reportedly getting closer to completing the drivers necessary to support Oreo-based sound cards, such as the Oreo Vortex, Diamond Monster Sound, and Turtle Beach Montego line. A representative from the company says BeOS drivers are in testing right now, and it shouldn't be too long. A new version of SoftG's digital tracker has just arrived on the scene with some new features and bug fixes. If you're into mod editing, it should be on your short list to check out. BeOS Bible author Scott Hacker has knit and purled together the makings of a BeOS home entertainment system device, an interface that lets you control the SoundPlay audio player remotely over a LAN or the internet, or even using a headless PC box. Want to help out with the project? Just visit Scott Hacker's BeOS software page. The URL for it's on our load page. A director handler module for Robinhood, the BeOS-based web server for PCs, provides for the streaming of MP3 audio files. According to Simon Hewitt, MP3 to stream is a small public domain offering which will allow each link inside a directory listing to an MPEG file to be trapped for playback as a SoundPlay playlist. Playing MP3 files from the B command line? Then check out MPG123, a medley of 3 MPEG playback options from Attila Lenvi. And version 1.4 of Scott Hacker's RipEnc, a front-end script for various command line MP3 tools, lets you encode an ID3 tag any number of CD tracks in batch mode. You can get both of the programs we just mentioned at BBits. Well, they started out making the ultimate guitar with a MIDI interface, the MIDI Axe, and now they're busy innovating again, BeOS style. Steve Dame and company have come out with a multi-channel MIDI interface box you can plug right into the USB port on your BeOS computer. He talks with us about it next on Audio Buzz. You know, one of the things I look for in software is a program that can kind of read my mind and know how I work in a way that's intuitive and natural and sort of draws me into the process. That's the way it is with Gobi Productive. With Gobi Productive, you can do everything all in one program without having to jump through a whole bunch of hoops and modules and things. Text, graphic, charts, layouts, all in frames right on the same screen together. Just a natural feel that'll make you feel comfortable right away. You're going to love it. www.bdepot.com to pick up your copy of Gobi Productive.
Hi, this is Steve Sackman, creator of the world-famous Kodicam, and you're listening to Audio Buzz.
Anybody who's ever messed with MIDI knows you can never have too many I.O. channels or too smooth an interface. And you'll get no argument from Steve Dame, whose Virtual DSP Corporation has devised a drool tool called MIDI Oxygen 44.
The idea behind MIDI Oxygen is that it gives the average MIDI home studio input MIDI devices up to their MIDI studio and have up to 4 output devices that they can connect to. So that gives you the ability to have, let's say, maybe 3 synthesizer modules and, say, a guitar preamp, which are all MIDI controlled, and then have, let's say, a MIDI guitar, a keyboard, and a drum machine all connected at once.
While definitely targeted at small studios and home-based musicians, MIDI Oxygen 44 is far from a toy. Steve described some of the ways it can be used.
Now, it could just be a standalone type of thing where you're just trying to patch one input to one output, or maybe all outputs, or perhaps you're doing more of an integrated project where you've got a full-up music sequencer running, and you want to assign particular instruments to particular voices, or a particular synth, and you want to be able to save that with your sequence.
Steve has just gotten his hands on a beta copy of Steinberg's famed Nuendo digital audio multitrack program, and he's busy trying it out right now, discovering ways to tie it in with MIDI Oxygen 44. He has promised to report back to us on that, and we'll hear that interview next week on Audio Buzz. Coming up, if buzzers wanted normal, they'd be using Windows, right? And if they wanted normal music, they'd listen somewhere besides Audio Buzz. Some very abnormal music next. Stay tuned. I had been hearing a lot just lately about getting paid to surf the web. And like many of you, I'd just been blowing it off as so much hype. But then I got curious and I started doing a little investigating. And guess what I found out? In a lot of cases, my first assumption was right. It is hype. But there is one notable exception. AllAdvantage.com. At AllAdvantage.com, they do exactly what they say they'll do. They provide you with an ad bar that displays little ads at the top or bottom of your screen. You can pick where you want it while you're browsing the Internet. And then they pay you for it, 50 cents an hour. If you refer some friends who sign up, you also get paid for every hour they browse the net. And if they sign friends up, yep, you get a bump for each hour they browse the web as well. Now, are you going to get rich using AllAdvantage? No. But without too much effort, you can make the time you spend browsing pay your monthly Internet bill. That's what I'm doing. And then some. So is it worth it? I think so. After you try it out, I think you'll think so too. Everything about it's free. The URL for it's right on the Audio Buzz load page. So while you listen to this week's show, click on it, find out more. Maybe even sign up and give it a try for a while. There are times when most of us still have to use Windows. Given my choice, I'd rather get paid too.
This is Tim Self from Be Incorporated, and you're listening to Audio Buzz.
Scott Watson is a talented musician who cut his MIDI teeth on the wonderful Amiga. He tells his story in brief on our load page. Here's a tune he fashioned a few years back on the Amiga, aptly named Abnormal. Next week on Audio Buzz, we'll be pleased to announce the winners of the 3D Sound Contest, and we'll feature yet another entry from the contest. Join me then. Audio Buzz was sponsored this week by Go Be Productive and AllAdvantage.com. It's hosted on B News, the site with more B News, and LeBuzz, the BeOS Media headquarters. I'm Dane Scott, and I'll see you on the web. This is Audio Buzz, the weekly BeOS Media magazine. I'm Dane Scott. This week, part 2 with Steve Dame on MIDI Oxygen 44, the BeOS MIDI I/O box, and the results of his tests with the beta release of Steinberg's Nuendo program. That and more all coming up, brought to you by Go Be Productive and AllAdvantage.com. But first, as usual, our BeOS audio and video news of the week. ADS, makers of the Pyro Digital Video 1394 DV card, have announced they are B-compatible now and are being bundled with Atomation's Personal Studio. Initially, this sounds like a nice kind of a consumer-level package for hobbyists and families. We'll keep you posted as we learn more. A serial port MIDI driver for B-Box and Intel PC BeOS systems has just been released by Toshihiro Kisaka. The driver allows you to connect MIDI devices such as the Roland SC88 and Yamaha MU100 directly to the serial port on your computer. The JMax development team has recently announced their willingness to port their product to the BeOS. JMax is a graphical real-time audio processing program which was created at ERCAM and currently runs on SGI workstations and Linux Intel PCs. JMax allows the user to create real-time audio effects by linking configurable processing objects into the audio path via a graphical user interface. It sounds really intriguing, and we've got more information about it on LeBuzz. By the time you listen to this, it may be in the archive section, so if you don't see it on the main page, check there. Originally targeted for the year 2000, a BeOS version of Creamware's remarkable Scope program may instead arrive as soon as this fall, according to the September issue of Mix magazine. Scope is a modularly designed studio in a box, which uses audio cards and a software interface to dynamically configure exactly the kind of audio environment that suits your needs. Build your own studio on the fly. Tom Vernon, author of the excellent Radio World series on BeOS Audio, says radio people have responded enthusiastically to the first installment of the two-part series which came out recently. He says, "I've been surprised by the response I've received from this piece. Got 3 to 4 calls or emails per day for a week after it came out. Basically, he says no one is happy with their current automation system, and more than one is calling out for something from the BeOS. The good news is something is being developed for the BeOS. There isn't a lot of information about it yet, but as we get more, we'll pass it along." Dak, programmer of the Roland baseline clone Rack 747, says a new release is out for the Power PC, good for BeOS version 4.5. An Intel version is also supposedly on the way soon. Fester, the company with the funny name, is promoting a new car mount kit for your PC, which appears to let you do full-scale computing right on your dashboard. Car PC, spelled with a K, will reportedly run under Windows, NT, CE, Solaris, and the BeOS, and give you the ability to enjoy all your favorite MP3 songs while you're cruising along. That's our news. Up next, Virtual DSP has reached beta with their MIDI Oxygen 44 4-in, 4-out USB MIDI box. This week, Steve Dame of Virtual DSP put the box to the test using another promising bit of beta, Steinberg's Nuendo. The results, next. You know, one of the things I look for in software is a program that can kind of read my mind and know how I work in a way that's intuitive and natural, and it sort of draws me into the process. That's the way it is with Go Be Productive. With Go Be Productive, you can do everything all in one program without having to jump through a whole bunch of hoops and modules and things. Text, graphic, charts, layouts, all in frames right on the same screen together. Just a natural feel that'll make you feel comfortable right away. You're going to love it. www.bdepot.com to pick up your copy of Go Be Productive.
Hi, this is Benoit Schillings at Be Incorporated, and is this Dane Scott?
There had to be some tense, exciting moments as Steve Dame installed Nuendo Beta on his computer, plugged in his own baby, the MIDI Oxygen 44 MIDI box, and then patched all his MIDI equipment into it. And there were probably a few more tense moments as he had to do those inevitable little tweaks and adjustments to get everything working together properly. But then suddenly, voila, success! And Steve went on to create his very first music on the new box using Nuendo, a milestone that we'll be able to share on this week's show a little later on. Steve told us how he strung everything together.
We used a Roland A80 keyboard to do most of the drum sequences, and the piano and bass tracks entered into Nuendo. And then we were using a MIDI-Ax guitar for the guitar sound on top of that. As far as gear in our rack, then being driven by the MIDI Oxygen 44, we're using a Korg Trinity rack mount with a Korg N1R in tandem for 2 cents producing the sound. So the drums are coming from the N1R, and the piano and bass are coming from the Trinity rack mount.
Once connected, we asked him what kind of experience he had in making his first composition.
It's very straightforward, very simple to use. I really like the way that they've laid things out with the transport, and the tracks really flow well, and everything's very smooth, of course, with the performance that the BeOS lends to the platform. There are a few issues with, which are typical, I think, of the level we are right now with both products being in beta. There's an occasional crash here and there or mismatch between things, but for the most part, we had a long stretch of recording this song without a hitch once everything got hooked up properly.
The result was a good indication of what lies ahead on this platform, and you'll have a chance to enjoy the fruits of it right along with us when Audio Buzz continues. I had been hearing a lot just lately about getting paid to surf the web. and like many of you, I'd just been blowing it off as so much hype. But then I got curious and I started doing a little investigating, and guess what I found out? In a lot of cases, my first assumption was right. It is hype. But there is one notable exception, alladvantage.com. At alladvantage.com, they do exactly what they say they'll do. They provide you with an ad bar that displays little ads at the top or bottom of your screen. You can pick where you want it while you're browsing the internet. And then they pay you for it, 50 cents an hour. If you refer some friends who sign up, you also get paid for every hour they browse the net. And if they sign friends up, yep, you get a bump for each hour they browse the web as well. Now, are you going to get rich using All Advantage? No. But without too much effort, you can make the time you spend browsing pay your monthly internet bill. That's what I'm doing. And then some. So is it worth it? I think so. After you try it out, I think you'll think so too. Everything about it's free. The URL for it's right on the Audio Buzz load page. So while you listen to this week's show, click on it, find out more. Maybe even sign up and give it a try for a while. There are times when most of us still have to use Windows. Given my choice, I'd rather get paid too.
This is Chris Herborth of Next Generation Entertainment, and you're listening to Audio Buzz with Dane Scott.
We've had the chance to share some great tunes here on Audio Buzz, created by musicians who are interested in the BeOS, but because of a lack of the right BeOS software or hardware, were done on some other computer platform, Mac or Windows or whatever. So this is kind of a milestone this week as Audio Buzz presents its first song truly done using the BeOS. A quickly prepared but good melody called Hello, Nuendo. Audio Buzz is heard every week via LeBuzz, your BeOS media news headquarters, and B-News, the site with more B-News. And is brought to you this week by Go Be Productive and alladvantage.com. I'm Dane Scott, and I'll see you on the web. Welcome to Audio Buzz, the weekly internet radio show about high-bandwidth BeOS media. This is Dane Scott, and our program is brought to you this week by The Wire Company and Go Be Productive. Coming up, a LeBuzz contributing writer gives us a sample of his work as a musician. News about an exciting new project that will make it easier for media professionals to make the move to the BeOS. And more, all just ahead. First, our news, and an Intel version of DAC's Rack is warming up its engines and getting ready for takeoff. DAC, author of the Rack 747 bass drum machine program, says it has reached a well-established level of beta and won't require a lot more tweaking to be ready for official release. Says DAC, I'm currently adding a few more widgets, like a small virtual keyboard for note entry, and polishing up the behavior of the sampler. These should be fairly quickly done, and the full release should follow on the tail of that, say, in roughly a week. So 747 is definitely just about ready to take off. Echo Corporation is working on a new rack-mountable product for the BeOS. Mona was announced recently at the AES convention. It's a mic and audio preamp and a computer interface in a single box. Matt Gonzalez of Echo says that Mona is presently under heavy development. Matt felt that the BeOS and Windows versions should probably come before the end of the year, while the Mac version may take a little longer. Version 3.5 of Marco Nellison's SoundPlay, the BeOS audio player, is now available for download. Recent changes to it, options now to let newly opened files replace the existing ones instead of opening a new player. A new Scope plugin with various waveform and spectrum analyzers, and an improved HTTP plugin with optional play, download, and stream links. B-News is reporting that B Computing Incorporated has begun selling the Pyro Digital Video 1394DV digital video editing system throughout its product line. BeOS 4.5.2 supports most of the functionality of the cards, minus video uploading to the camera, and full support is expected in the near future. According to the latest issue of Recording Magazine, Sonic Timeworks is about to port its line of plugins to BeOS. That could be a big deal because Sonic Timeworks has some very impressive sounding plugins. A new public domain animator program promises to be highly precise. Jeroen Bakker, the author of Demo Studio, describes his program as an accurate animation creator which uses subpixel and subtexel to create smooth, extra smooth motion with 256 bits of color accuracy. A graphic accelerator is recommended. There isn't any documentation available for it yet. You can see notations about it on the BBits page. A particularly nasty and ornery bug has been executed in the latest version of MPG-123, the command line-based MP3 player. Again, you can pick that up at BBits. One of the things that has held the BeOS back in laptops is the lack of audio support. Dan Berlin is working on a couple of drivers right now, the ESS Maestro 2-2E, Dell Inspiron 7000, 7500, and others use that one, and the Neomagic 256AV/ZX. If you have either of these, or you think that it may be in your laptop and you'd like to do some testing of sound drivers, Dan would like to hear from you. You can get his URL on the load page. Coming up, media professionals may have some brand loyalty, but above all, they want what does the job best and fastest. The problem is most people who are looking into new technology just don't care to be completely on the bleeding edge, taking all the chances. What they want is somebody out there ahead of them finding out what works and what's worthwhile, sort of marking a trail, so to speak. So their investment that way will be more worthwhile if they do decide to go into things like the BeOS for their studio. Well, that's the purpose of the LeBuzz Studio Lab, and we'll talk more about that next on Audio Buzz. You know, one of the things I look for in software is a program that can kind of read my mind and know how I work in a way that's intuitive and natural and sort of draws me into the process. That's the way it is with Go Be Productive. With Go Be Productive, you can do everything all in one program without having to jump through a whole bunch of hoops and modules and things. Text, graphic, charts, layouts, all in frames right on the same screen together. Just a natural feel that'll make you feel comfortable right away. You're going to love it. www.bdepot.com to pick up your copy of Go Be Productive.
Hi, this is Todd Motive, BeOS audio lover and host of Rock Surf on 97.7 Hits FM, Toronto, Buffalo. And you're tuned into Audio Buzz with Dane Scott.
Soon, buzzers will have an excellent new resource at their disposal. LeBuzz is launching a new project called Studio Lab. Studio Lab is a professional studio equipped with state-of-the-art BeOS computers, which will be used to test new hardware and software as it arrives on the scene. Unlike some test facilities, this will truly be a living laboratory. In addition to traditional bench-style testing, the products will be pressed into use in actual real production situations. This will give us an excellent idea of just how well or how poorly various products perform under real-world conditions, and also how well or how poorly they perform with each other. The results of our findings are going to be reported on the new Studio Lab page, which we're working on now. It'll be at www.thestudiolab.com. The purpose of the Studio Lab page is to act as kind of a resource for people who want to know whether BeOS products are capable of doing the kinds of things they would like to do. As we do new reviews, they'll all be indexed and added to the Studio Lab page. And here's the neat part. All of the reviews will be held open-ended, so we can add notations as we learn more about these products and how well they work under various situations. We hope to add suggested configurations and helpful advice in setting up a BeOS-based studio based on our own tests and experiences. The Studio Lab will also contain a profile containing descriptions of all the equipment in the studio, so you'll have a sense of just how much or how little is required in order to use the various B products. I think the ability to demonstrate functional applications of BeOS technology is going to go a long way toward raising confidence among buzzers and those who are thinking about the BeOS for their studios. And I think that will really help them to accomplish what they would like to do on the platform as well. But I'm not going to hesitate to tell it like it is where there are shortcomings or problems or where it just doesn't seem to be a practical program for day-to-day use. The whole purpose of this new resource is to give people a window on Be's real usefulness for audio and video. Also, I'm really pleased to announce that B Computing will be providing the computers that make up the heart of our test program. We'll be using an iGeek as our basic model, and then we'll also have a high-ender with dual processors so you can see how much horsepower you'll need to use various products. Well, recently, LeBuzz had a review of SoftG's digital tracker. The reviewer was contributing writer Mike Masquith. This week he contributes something else, some of his music. We'll go exploring the universe with Mike in just a moment on Audio Buzz. Being a buzzer does have its advantages. Right now, BeOS users can get $13.95 a month unlimited fast internet access. Visit www.wireco.net/BeOS for details. Hurry!
Hi, this is Nicholas Splashford, creator of Oral Illusion, full-time buzzer. You're listening to Audio Buzz with Dane Scott.
Mike Masquith is by trade a technical writer, but by avocation he's a musician. So when he's not writing technical papers or reviewing cool new stuff for LeBuzz, he's creating interesting compositions like this one called Universe. I especially like his creative use of opposing rhythms in this piece. Let's listen in. Audio Buzz is a weekly service of LeBuzz.com, your BeOS media headquarters, and can also be accessed via BNews.com, the site with more BNews. Want to help support the cause? You can order back issues of Audio Buzz. Just check the load page for details. Our program's been brought to you this week by Go Be Productive and The Wire Company. I'm Dane Scott. Keep watching LeBuzz for new announcements about Studio Lab, and I'll see you on the web. Welcome to Audio Buzz, the weekly BeOS media magazine covering the full spectrum of BeOS Pro media. Brought to you this week by Go Be Productive and The Wire Company. This week, some initial perspectives about the role Java might play in the future of the BeOS. Our news of the week, and the official announcement and playing of the winning songs in our 3D sound contest. All straight ahead on Audio Buzz. First, our news of the week. The Java 2 platform and personal Java technology are currently being ported to the BeOS. According to a press statement released jointly by B and Sun Microsystems, beta versions of the software are expected to be available before the end of the year. Shipping versions are scheduled for the first quarter of 2000. In speaking to the people at B, the sense I got is that Java is going to be used to improve NetPositive's access of Java-enhanced websites, provide a method of porting some of the less time-sensitive programs out there, the more utilitarian ones, to the BeOS, and in developing web appliances. Echo has added ship targets and SRP to their page about the Echo Mona, which is still slated to include BeOS drivers. They report that Mona will ship in December and will cost $995. Mods, those amazing little sound files that became so popular on the Amiga, are all the more accessible to Intel PC buzzers with the release of A-Player 3.5.0 from Thomas Neumann. The latest version lets musicians dissect mod files to examine the individual instrument samples they use and even to download those samples for keyboard input and editing through a new feature called Info Agent. With sound files all over your computer, how can you find them all in one fell swoop and play them one after another? That's what SoftG's audio browser does. You can grab it off BBits, it's free. Here's some other things you can find at BBits. For the command line devotees out there, a program called Autoplay makes MP3 searches simpler by letting you hunt down tracks using a variety of criteria. Autoplay is a script which acts as a command line front end to attribute-based queries on your MP3 files. It creates and instantly plays a playlist composed of requested audio files. The author of several BeOS audio drivers has just released the latest version of his graphical plugin for SoundPlay, Chaos Factor. As with several other plugins for SoundPlay, this one undulates to the audio being played. And an update to a driver for the AD1816 sound card chipset gives buzzers better support for a number of cards and built-in motherboard-mounted sound systems. Jens Winkler has just released version 1.1, that's at BBits. And Hit Squad is giving away $10,000 in prizes in their new computer music competition. And one entrant is going to be set up with all the equipment they need to record that hit song. You've got till the end of November to get in the running for that one. Meanwhile, our own music contest wrapped up in the middle of last month, and we have the results back from our judges. The 3 winners of the Be Incorporated and LeBuzz 3D Sound Contest. After this. You know, one of the things I look for in software is a program that can kind of read my mind and know how I work in a way that's intuitive and natural and sort of draws me into the process. That's the way it is with Go Be Productive. With Go Be Productive, you can do everything all in one program without having to jump through a whole bunch of hoops and modules and things. Text, graphic, charts, layouts, all in frames right on the same screen together. Just a natural feel that'll make you feel comfortable right away. You're going to love it. www.bdepot.com to pick up your copy of Go Be Productive.
Hi, this is Tim Self from Be Incorporated, and is this the Dane Scott?
The 3D Sound Contest was our way of welcoming in BeOS Release 4.5 this past summer. It was the first version to contain a fully functional copy of this remarkable demo program. With prizes contributed by Be Incorporated and Be Computing and Go Be Productive, our contest drew entries from around the world. All 3 judges agreed that the entries were fun to listen to and difficult to choose from among. But ultimately, we had to make 3 choices, and we're pleased to announce the winners of the 3D Sound Contest. Taking the prize for the best use of 3D Sound's features is this piece from college student Ryan Abrams. Done in a humble dorm room with nothing but an acoustical guitar and a cheap mic and sound card, Ryan did an admirable job of blending simple guitar patterns very seamlessly. All 3 judges were impressed with how smooth the transitions were. Winner of the best use of 3D sound features, Ryan Abrams with Flutter. Winner of the prize for the most creative piece is Avner Kenner of Israel. He got his whole family into the act in this number called, appropriately enough, the BeOS Family. Avner Kenner and crew with the BeOS Family. Up next, the award for Best Overall when Audio Buzz continues. Looking for a way to save money on your internet service bill and support a company that supports the BeOS all at once? $13.95 a month unlimited fast access through the Wire Company. www.wireco.net for $13.95 a month.
This is Scott Hacker, author of the BeOS Bible. You're listening to Audio Buzz with Dane Scott.
There can only be one Best Award in any contest, and 2 of our 3 judges chose this one as their #1 favorite for Best Overall. Van Pelt, an Aussie, named his composition after one of the things he hoped to win, a Bee t-shirt. His song, T-Shirt, was judged the strongest musically while making good use of the features in 3D sound. Here it is. It was a tough call all the way around for our judges. Others which could just as easily have been included were Shane White, Baron Arnold, and Oliver Tauman. We want to thank everybody for their hard work, their creativity, and their dedication to making music happen on the BeOS. That wraps up this week's special edition of Audio Buzz. Don't forget to visit the preview page for our new site, thestudiolab.com, which premieres December 1st. Our show's been brought to you by The Wire Company and Go Be Productive, and can be found always on LeBuzz.com and bnews.com. I'm Dane Scott, and I'll see you on the web. This is Audio Buzz, the weekly BeOS media magazine, brought to you by Go Be Productive and The Wire Company. This week, Beta 2 of the long-awaited Object Synth Synthesizer program is out. We'll give you a sneak preview, plus our featured artist of the week, all coming up. First, our news, and Fall 99 Comdex has come and gone. It was a good event for Be Incorporated, with great showings at their booth demos. So much so, in fact, that some neighboring booths complained of being blocked by the crowds. Be announced a new relationship with a company which will allow them some new flexibility in creating a variety of custom computer appliances using a new Stinger technology. Beyond that, some have expressed disappointment there weren't more announcements forthcoming from Be or any of the related companies during Comdex. Though not to fear, the announcements are coming, and some very soon. Be gets more positive press in last month's Radio World magazine, one of the leading broadcast publications. In a big full two-pager, author Tom Vernon continues his coverage of the BeOS from the first article, focusing on issues related to automation and production at radio stations. Dennis Borres has ported 2 command line utilities that'll let you burn CDs with the BeOS, CD Record and MK Hybrid. MK Hybrid is a tool used to create ISO 9660, HFS, and Joliet image CDs. CD Record is a CD burning program. Both are available at BBits. Daniel Berlin has published a new and improved version of his driver for ESS Maestro 2 2E1 chips. These are the chipsets used in quite a few laptops, including the Dell Inspiron 7000s. Scott Hacker has taken over maintenance of a command line-based utility, originally ported to the BeOS by Shane White of the CBAS site. ID3REN will rename whole batches of MP3 files based on ID3 tags. Roman Filippov has updated his autoplay program, a command line front end to attribute-based queries of your MP3 files. It creates and instantly plays a playlist composed of requested audio files. And SoundPlay, the award-winning audio player for BeOS, has been updated to version 3.6 and is now available for download. Marco, the creator, is especially proud of the new VU meters he's built into the program. Next up, Object Synth, a project that's been around in varying incarnations on the BeOS for quite some time, has just made it to Beta 2 for version 2.0. What's in the latest package? Some answers from Eric Iverson of Object, next on Audio Buzz. Looking for a way to save money on your internet service bill and support a company that supports the BeOS all at once? $13.95 a month, unlimited fast access through the Wire Company. www.wireco.net for $13.95 a month.
Hi, this is Shane White of CBAS, the BeOS musicians website, and you're listening to Audio Buzz with Dane Scott.
On the night this show hit the internet, Friday, November 19th, the people at Object issued forth with a new Beta 2 version of Object Synth 2.0. Included in this second beta are a number of features and fixes, including multiple output support. The new output support gives some added future readiness, making every patch capable of more than one output, with all of them visible in the system mixer panel. New and improved modules, including a new mono out module, optimized DVCO module, and enhancements to ASR, ADSR, noise, and DLFO modules. A mixer window, the same as the system mixer window, but now instantly available from within Object Synth. And multiple MIDI support. A patch can now accept MIDI input from more than one MIDI port at a time. Among other things, this makes it easier to control Object Synth from external software, like MIDI Paint. By the way, a MIDI Paint-specific module has been added to this latest release. According to Eric Iverson at Object, the beta will be available by the time you hear this at objectsynth.com. The address is on our load page. Up next, the music of our featured artist of the week when Audio Buzz continues. You know, one of the things I look for in software is a program that can kind of read my mind and know how I work in a way that's intuitive and natural and sort of draws me into the process. That's the way it is with Go Be Productive. With Go Be Productive, you can do everything all in one program without having to jump through a whole bunch of hoops and modules and things. Text, graphic, charts, layouts, all in frames right on the same screen together. Just a natural feel that'll make you feel comfortable right away. You're going to love it. www.bdepot.com to pick up your copy of Go Be Productive.
Hi, this is Benjamin Gonavo, BeOS audio enthusiast and host of the Beload mailing list. You're listening to Audio Buzz with Dane Scott.
Buzzer Larry Sire hits the internet airwaves with this version of Superstition, our featured song of the week on Audio Buzz. Thanks to Larry Sire for bailing us out at the last minute with that song. We lost a lot of our submissions in a hard drive crash recently. Next week, we're going to have music from Eric Iverson, who will provide us with some music actually created on Object Synth 2.0. Until then, our program's been brought to you this week by Go Be Productive and The Wire Company, and is heard each week on B News, the site with more B News, and LeBuzz.com, the site for BeOS media news. Don't forget, thestudiolab.com, LeBuzz's new site, is going to be happening December 1st. I'm Dane Scott, and I'll catch you on the web. This is Audio Buzz, and I'm Dane Scott. Coming up on this week's show, thestudiolab.com is just days away. Perhaps it'll already be on by the time you hear this. What will the Studio Lab contain, and how can companies submit products for review? We'll talk about that. Plus, Eric Iverson's out with some music that shows samples of what Object Synth 2.0 Beta 2 can do. And more, all coming up. First, the news and lots to tell you about this week. ADI 96 Pro, the first Get Serious audio hardware to be supported on the B operating system from RME, has been released. The ADI 96 Pro is RME's top-of-the-line model, containing 96 kilohertz analog to digital conversion, as well as 32, 44.1, 48, 64, and 88.2 kilohertz. DSP-based digital effects processing designed to sound analog, 2 mono mic inputs and line inputs, and a unique audio analyzer. We'll be telling you much more about this as time goes on, and RME has told us they'll be sending us one for review as well. That's great news. We look forward to seeing it and reviewing it in the Studio Lab. IK Multimedia, makers of the Groove Maker music builder program for the BeOS, Mac, and Windows, has released 2 loop libraries for the program. Axe does Brazilian percussion tracks, and House Party is full of house rhythms. Each contains 250 studio-ready loops and costs $49. The people at Envision Incorporated have come up with a clever, innovative method of pre-marketing their upcoming slide presentation program, Juggle Show, by giving everyone a taste of its functionality in advance in the form of a customizable screensaver. Juggle Saver, a screensaver with many customization options, allows users to import photos, video clips, text, and other images to build a personalized slideshow screensaver for use on the BeOS. The preview version of it is available for download now as freeware. Level Control Systems, a leader in the field of automated audio control systems for entertainment using the B operating system, one of the real trailblazers on the B operating system, is looking for a software engineer. Sounds like interesting work. Listen, the responsibilities for this position include leading the development of a next-generation distributed control system and GUI for networked BeOS computers. Candidates should be fluent in C and C++ and be able to demonstrate expertise in BeOS GUI design and network architecture. You can send your email resumes to Steve Ellison. Check our load page for the address. Even as Object releases Beta 2 of Object Synth 2.0, Daniel Walton has just come out with 2.0 beta of MIDI Paint, the program that allows you to paint MIDI messages with your mouse or Wacom tablet. MIDI Paint and Object Synth have been designed to work well together to perform this interesting function. If you've tried and failed when attempting to edit out a chunk of audio from a giant WAV file while using the BeOS, you'll be glad to know there's a way, using the BeOS bundled Sound Recorder utility. Scott Hacker, the author, gave us the steps for this one. Drag the WAV file into Sound Recorder. Wait for a bit as it loads because the file is big. Drag the semicircular grippers at either end of the track indicator back and forth to demarcate the beginning and end of the sample you want to crop. Right drag or control drag the waveform display to the desktop or the tracker and choose an output format from the context menu. Nothing to it, and our buzzers say it works too. A few other quick notes. Michael Pfeiffer has released a simple freeware software MIDI keyboard called MIDI Synth. The Kyra Mark has come out with a visualization plugin for SoundPlay called Hypnotic. And John A. Whitney's Ripcord, a GUI application allowing you to rip audio CD tracks and encode them in various formats, is up to version 0.92. You can pick all of those up at BBits. And B Incorporated's Douglas Wright reports that the new MIDI kit in the upcoming Maui release of the BeOS provides more flexible interconnection of MIDI objects, giving software developers improved ability to, among other things, use the MIDI channel to control CM Automation's Motor Mix console. The new MIDI kit is reportedly highly speed accurate, with response times measured in microseconds rather than milliseconds. Coming up next, the new Studio Lab is on its way soon, and we're going to be doing reviews of products. You'll find out how to submit your product for review and why to do it coming up next on Audio Buzz. You know, one of the things I look for in software is a program that can kind of read my mind and know how I work in a way that's intuitive and natural and sort of draws me into the process. That's the way it is with Go Be Productive. With Go Be Productive, you can do everything all in one program without having to jump through a whole bunch of hoops and modules and things. Text, graphic, charts, layouts, all in frames right on the same screen together. Just a natural feel that'll make you feel comfortable right away. You're going to love it. www.bdepot.com to pick up your copy of Go Be Productive.
Hi, this is Nicholas Splashford, creator of Oral Illusion, full-time buzzer. You're listening to Audio Buzz with Dane Scott.
LeBuzz.com brings a child into the world on December 1st. Our new site, thestudiolab.com, will hit the internet airwaves with information for those people who are interested in setting up BeOS-based studios to do audio and video and 3D animation work and other studio work. We'll have reviews on various products, including hardware and software, and in addition to that, articles that are helpful in getting your studio set up and how to save money where you need to save money, how to spend money where it's important to spend money. The Studiolab.com will be doing lots of reviews of BeOS products for media pros, and that's the purpose of this week's feature, to tell you how to submit products and why it's important to do so. First of all, you need to understand the reviews are promoted in advance to make sure readers know that they should be watching for it. The review is mentioned and linked on LeBuzz and sometimes on other B News sites. We've already heard from B Groovy that they're interested in promoting each of our reviews as it comes out. The review may also be summarized on Audio Buzz, right here, our internet radio show. The review also gets featured on the Studio Lab site, of course, itself, and then it's permanently available into the future on that site. If chosen as best in category, your product is profiled as a Studio Lab favorite in one of our virtual studio rooms, making it an attractive choice to buyers. All reviews are left open-ended, meaning we add notations to our reviews as we learn more about the products. When that happens, we point people back to the review for more information. If chosen to become a part of the Studio Lab permanently, then it's profiled in our Studio Lab page and recognized as a benchmark quality product. So what kinds of products may be submitted to Studio Lab? All audio, music, video, graphic design, and 3D animation software and hardware usable in a BeOS professional or home studio environment. Products submitted are not returned, Be sure to enclose full documentation, plus any notations you feel would help us during the reviewing process, and importantly, contact information in case we have questions. Please contact us with any questions you have in advance and to get our shipping address. You can get our email address off the load page. Up next, our featured music of the week, when Audio Buzz continues. Looking for a way to save money on your internet service bill and support a company that supports the BeOS all at once? $13.95 a month unlimited fast access through the Wire Company. www.wireco.net for $13.95 a month.
Hi, this is Oliver Tillman from B News, and you're listening to Audio Buzz with Dane Scott.
Last week we announced that Object had released Object Synth 2.0 Beta 2. Eric Iverson of Object gave us a sample of just some of the sounds that Object is capable of, and we hear some of them now on Audio Buzz. Audio Buzz is a weekly service of LeBuzz.com, the Buzzer's headquarters, and BNews.com, the site with more B News, and has been brought to you this week by Go Be Productive and the Wire Company. Want to advertise on Audio Buzz? We won't object. Send us an email. And be sure to watch for the premiere of thestudiolab.com coming up December 1st. I'm Dane Scott, and I'll see you on the web. This is Audio Buzz, the weekly BeOS media magazine, and I'm Dane Scott. Our program brought to you by Go Be Productive and the Wire Company. Coming up, some of the behind-the-scenes support the BeOS builds into its operating system to make audio work continually better on this platform. Plus the news of the week as usual, and later on, the first sounds ever from the Red Planet recorded by a ham radio operator in Greenland. All on the way on Audio Buzz. First, our news. And Supreme GS, which has been making a BeOS-based computer line called the MediaStorm, has dropped it in favor of a new media computer based on Linux. The new product, dubbed MediaStorm 2, also supplants Supreme's HyperStorm Linux computer line. According to President Jason Pester, with the rapid evolution of Linux as a digital media operating system and the growing number of Linux applications, it was no longer cost-effective to manufacture two different product lines. The market for Linux, he says, is much greater than that for the BeOS, so we made the tough choice to leave BeOS behind and concentrate on what we see as a bright future for Linux. All orders for MediaStorm and HyperStorm systems prior to November 29th have been processed. However, no additional orders are being taken. A well-written review of CM Automation's Motor Mix motorized mixing console does a good job of providing an overview of this BeOS-supported product. While it doesn't address BeOS specifics, it gives readers a good sense of what the Motor Mix is for and how it can be applied to computer-based recording systems like those expected soon for the BeOS platform. We're in contact with CM Automation, and we're hoping to provide a review of our own soon, giving a BeOS perspective on its use. We'll let you know what we hear. In the meanwhile, the link to this other review is available on our load page. A version 2.23 binary distribution of GoGo, the BeOS-based MP3 encoder based on LAME and ISO for BeOS Intel computers, has just come out, and this new version is capable of taking advantage of MMX, SSE, and 3D Now. That makes it by far the fastest BeOS MP3 encoder, faster than it was before and maybe the fastest anywhere. All we need now is a good front end for it. Currently it runs by command line. You can nab the current version at bbits. Anybody who works with high bandwidth media knows how fast it can eat up every inch of your hard drive. And anyone who is at all disorganized knows that sometimes it's tough to find where all the bodies lie when it's time to clear away all the old dead wood. That's where Guido comes in kind of handy. Version 1.0 of Guido was just released by Mike Steed, and you can pick it up over at bbits.com. It gives you a graphical reckoning of where the hard drive space is getting used and by what. A tool that certainly would be of benefit to anybody who doesn't know where they put things. And Klaus Lokvist is back from a programming breather and is busy getting caught up with the latest visualization advances that we've seen in his competitor's SoundPlay audio player. Klaus has added some preliminary visualization capability to his CL-Amp audio player. New visual plug-in support has been coded into the player, allowing third-party people to design clever methods of visualizing sounds as they're played. Perhaps even more interesting is the new Tracker add-ons for CL-Amp. One of them lets you click on a file in Tracker and select Add This to CL-Amp's playlist. That's a nice touch. And a reader who is polling people in English and French about the need for a BeOS version of Cubase VST has his poll functioning properly now after several weeks of problems. You can take the poll at his site. You can get the site address off our load page. Coming later in this program, the first recorded sounds from Mars, retrieved not by NASA, but by an amateur radio operator. And next, a look at some of the buried treasure in the B operating system that makes it increasingly the Media OS. Looking for a way to save money on your internet service bill and support a company that supports the BeOS all at once? $13.95 a month unlimited fast access through the Wire Company. www.wireco.net for $13.95 a month.
Hi, this is Peter Schultz with BeForever.com, and you're listening to Audio Buzz with Dane Scott. The revolution will not be televised.
Most of the time we don't talk much about programming things here on Audio Buzz and restrict our conversation to things that are more directly related to the creation of audio or the editing of audio, video, graphics, 3D animation, that sort of thing. But this time around, we'd like to cover something that was in the latest B Developers newsletter. It was written by Nathan Schrenk and talks about the BeOS Media Kit and a certain element of it, and I think it's illustrative of the fact that B Incorporated really is committed to supporting audio on its platform. It goes like this. In BeOS R4.5, the extremely useful B Media File API was added to the Media Kit. But a quick review of newsletter articles shows that B Media File hasn't been discussed much in this forum. B Media File provides a relatively easy way to access audio and video in a number of common file formats, such as QuickTime, AVI, and WAV, among others. By using B Media File and its trusty sidekick B Media Track, you can read and write video and audio data without worrying about how to decode compressed Cinepack video or how to encode IMA4 audio. Using these APIs should allow you to spend more time writing the real code for your application, or will enable your application to support more data input and output formats. We plan to continue to add to the file formats and encoders and decoders we support, so if your application uses the B Media File, B Media Track API, its capabilities will grow along with the BeOS. Reading things like that makes me feel all the more confident in the BeOS as a well-directed, well-organized, future-bent media OS. The support is there, the apps are on the way, life is good. Coming up next, the otherworldly sounds of the planet Mars when Audio Buzz continues. One of the things I look for in software is a program that can kind of read my mind and know how I work in a way that's intuitive and natural and sort of draws me into the process. That's the way it is with Go Be Productive. With Go Be Productive, you can do everything all in one program without having to jump through a whole bunch of hoops and modules and things. Text, graphic, charts, layouts, all in frames right on the same screen together. Just a natural feel that'll make you feel comfortable right away. You're going to love it. www.bdepot.com to pick up your copy of Go Be Productive.
Hi, this is Steve Sackman, creator of the world-famous CodyCam, and you're listening to Audio Buzz.
When ham radio operator and BeOS enthusiast Ian Bentworth of Greenland learned the frequency of the new Mars probe and began monitoring it, he was shocked when he began to pick up transmissions shortly after the probe had been scheduled to touch down on the Martian surface. He has shared his recording with us, and Audio Buzz now presents the first public airing of sounds from the Martian surface. And that's Audio Buzz for this week. Be sure to check out our BeOS Media Review site. It's brand new, it's for media professionals, and it's called thestudiolab.com. It's now online. Our program's been brought to you by Go Be Productive and The Wire Company and can be accessed weekly via bnews.com, the site with more B News, and LeBuzz.com, your daily media news site. I'm Dane Scott, and I'll see you on the web. First of all, thanks so much for taking some time out to talk to us while you're busy packing and getting ready for your trip. You're going to be going over to Menlo Park. Is that where you're moving to?
Actually, I'll be working out of the office primarily. In this job, there's a lot of road tripping, and also I'm leaving behind some close friends, including a long-term significant other in Boston. So I'll be through Boston periodically as well. But I'm looking forward to life on the West Coast and lots of travel out visiting people, talking to them about the BeOS.
All right, well, tell me a little about yourself.
Well, I've got a background in audio that is a little thinner than some, but deeper than others. It began for me back when I was in high school, when friends of mine and I started making 4-track tapes together. And it went off from there. Included a lot of study of electronic and computer music in college, along with a lot of radio broadcasting, where I got to dust off my soldering iron chops. I picked those up initially when I was a kid. My dad and I used to like putting together Heathkit things, and including little radios, and moving on to little digital circuit designs, and pasting things together from whatever we could find. And on through college, in addition to the radio broadcasting and stuff like that, I began to realize that computers were not only of casual interest for me, but of professional interest. And what happened over the years is eventually that I found myself applying a lot of the skills together in a software quality assurance job at the first of what turned out to be 2 music software companies that I've worked at, and that was at Coda Music Technology in Minneapolis, where we worked on Finale and also Coda's interactive intelligent accompaniment products for student musicians and professional musicians. And from there, worked in quality assurance for a long time, talking with Finale users about Finale, and helping to try to bring more stability and quality to the product. I think we did a good job there. And eventually found my way over at Cakewalk doing product management for Macintosh and Windows products. It was at that time that I first got acquainted with Tim Self, who was out stomping the bushes and talking to people about BeOS. And it was at that time I picked up a strong curiosity for the platform. And although at the time it seemed very deeply in the middle of a chicken and egg problem, Tim made amazing progress with lots of developers. And we find ourselves in the situation we're in today, and I'm really happy to join his team and cement the relationships that people already have developing for the BeOS, and find new developers and bring really cool things out to people. So,
for the sake of those who are less familiar with the concept of chicken and egg as it refers to BeOS audio,
right.
Explain what you mean by that.
As Jean-Louis Gasset says, as Tim says, nobody sets out to launch an operating system and just sit there staring at it. It takes great applications to really make the computing experience. And that's probably the major criticism that's been laid against BeOS is, where are those applications? And it's clear now. They're not only out there at the moment, there's other great ones on the way. Clearly that problem of chicken and egg is well behind the BeOS, and what lies ahead for B as a company and for BeOS users is several years, if not more, of absolute category-busting performance from new video and audio applications. And I'm really excited to be part of that.
Jim, you went to BDC, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Mm-hmm.
Well, you had a chance probably then to see some of the demos and maybe to get a sense of how the progress is going among the developers who were putting together hardware and software. Mm-hmm. A lot of them were originally targeting, say, summer or early fall. How are things looking? Do you think most of them will be on target?
From what I can tell, I think that people are making great progress. I'm still in my learning phases, and instead of digging right into software development schedules, I'm learning the people behind the companies, what they're interested in doing, what they hope to bring to customers, and things like that. So I didn't have too many fixed conversations about where they are in their development timelines, but I saw some great progress there, and certainly some new things that I'd never expected to see. I'm sure part of that is all part of the learning process, though, too, for me.
Oh, sure.
I settle in and get used to what's going on the BeOS.
Now we've got the big B demo party coming up in Vegas.
Yeah.
You're going to be out there for that?
Oh, I sure will.
Okay, what's the timetable for that?
That begins at 9 o'clock on Wednesday evening, and I believe that it's an invitation-only party, but we've been very interested in having people attend to show them what's going on, and if people bump into me at NAB and they express an interest in BeOS, I'll be more than happy to set them up with an invitation.
Now, are you going to be at the booth, too, or does B have a booth at NAB?
Primarily what we're doing is setting up for this party, and there will be demo stations there. There'll be music and as well as the entertainment. It will be a chance for people to get to see hands-on what's going on with the applications and with the technologies that underlie BeOS Release 4 and also Genki that's coming up.
It's exciting stuff.
Oh, it's tremendous. It's really kind of a privilege in a way. I'm so happy to be part of this because it's really groundbreaking technology. It's technology that some people that read about in graduate studies, people that take computer science, learn to apply a lot of esoteric new strategies and technologies to the idea of an operating system. And meanwhile, there's this company in Menlo Park delivering this stuff to users right now. All the best solutions that you could bring to the idea of a media-rich operating system to deliver great solutions to people is present in the BeOS.
Well, we want to wish you all the very best success and have a great time with it. Obviously, we're going to be following your progress and B's progress very closely on LeBuzz. We appreciate your following us, too, and visiting on LeBuzz, and we hope that you'll be a regular visitor over there. Oh, yeah, I also promised I would ask you, do people call you Rip?
They do.
Okay, I figured that it had to be. All right.
Sure, Rip is fine. I'll turn my head and answer with a smile.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Also, when you're at Menlo Park, you promised at one time or another you'll wave at us from the lunchroom.
Oh, sure will, and I'll try to get the couch facing the camera, and look for that 5-minute interval right on the spot.
All right. Listen, thanks so much, Jim.
Take care, Dave.
Bye now.
Bye bye.